I made some real progress this week. Let's get to it. Hi everyone, I'm Sandy, and today I have a weekly reading update, 1001 book countdown for you. I made some great progress this week on my books, which is amazing, and I'm so excited to get to talk to you about that. So as always, if you're not familiar with the 1001 book countdown, I'll leave a card up here for you where you can go check out the original video and learn all about this incredibly difficult challenge or project that I have created for myself. It's a lot, but I'm still really enjoying it. So consider giving me a subscribe and coming along my journey with me and just seeing how far I get. But for today, what we will go ahead and do is put up the numbers, which are 937 and 40, which is my 2022 number of the books I pre-select at the beginning of the year. So let's go ahead and jump into the books. So the first book is Chess Story by Stephan Zweig. So this book clocks in at a whopping 83 pages, which is why I was able to finish it in the first couple of weeks. This book was originally published in 1976. This is actually the second book by Zweig that I have read. I read Amok as well, which is also a fairly short book, but this one, I have to say, was much more effective. This has starts off with I believe it's a journalist who's going on a cruise or a voyage and wants to interview a chess master that is on the ship. And he does everything he can to get to the chess master, and the chess master just doesn't want to have any part of any type of an interview. So they come up with this very elaborate kind of plan to try and lure the chess master in to play a game of chess, and they offer him money to play the game. And so it's this one chess master against this big crowd of people trying to win in like a consensus game, and then the chess master will come and play. And they're not doing well in those games. And suddenly someone comes and pulls on his sleeve, and it's like, no, don't do that. Do this move instead. And they go into ending up with the advice of this unknown person going into a draw on that first game. The chess master is very confused, wants to obviously play again almost immediately. And so what is really interesting about the story isn't the match, isn't that, and it's not the chess master that is in here, it's the person tugging on the sleeve that really captured my attention. So the journalist ends up going and trying to convince the person to play again because he doesn't want to play, and is really trying to pull him into this chess world on the ship. And the backstory of the person and how he learned chess was really interesting, how they play another game and how he immediately gets sucked into this space that he's having trouble getting out of because he becomes obsessive compulsive about trying to play these games. And I found that part a really complex dynamic of this story. I thought that I don't play chess. But the only thing that I have to kind of as a point of reference is something like Searching for Bobby Fischer, the movie where they're going through and a child is learning how to play chess and has some natural aptitude for it. And they talk about Bobby Fischer and it kind of chess world, the entire chess world, and how it works and how people become obsessed with learning how to play chess, and even at all ages. And so I thought it was a really effective book. I really enjoyed it. I especially enjoyed it because it was super short. But this was the first book that I finished I actually finished it before War and Peace, but this is the next book, which means we get to go from 937 to 936, and it is on my 2021 list. So we are going from 40 to 39. All right. So the next book is actually my book club pick for April. I ended up finishing this a couple weeks early, which is really interesting. The book book is Walden by Henry David Thoreau. And this book was originally published in 1954. And so this is the only book by Thoreau that I am personally familiar with. It's the only one that I remember seeing on the 1001 book list. And so this one was a bit of a tougher read, not because it was a bad book, but because of the type of book it was. So I was expecting a story of Thoreau going out and on this grand adventure and being in the woods and just all of these different pieces. And a lot of this is more the philosophy of man and how man works in the wild, or how they can use their hands. And the first 90 or so pages of this book is all about the economy of living in a small shelter on land somewhere versus renting something. And then it goes through and talks about the costs. And when you do the cost comparison with inflation, it was really interesting because the cost came out to what I think Greg at Another Bibliophile Read said was about the price of a small shed from Home Depot. And so it was very dry in places, though, because you're going through just that very slow moving pace. It is very beautifully written in places. I just wanted more story, and it wasn't that. It was more, like I said, philosophical journey of Thoreau, talking about just talking about random stuff basically. And so I wish it was a different book. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad book. I just think that this, for me, isn't my personal favorite as far as how the prose in this. I am really glad I read it. I'm glad to say I have finished it. Thank you to everyone who joined in on the book club. And I know some people aren't done with this book yet. So please leave your comments out on Discord if you want to finish this, even though I'm done with it. But I am very, very happy that I finished this. I was surprised at how fast of a read it was, because it really didn't take me long at all. And some of that is this book looks like it's really thick. However, when you open this, you will see that there are very wide margins kind of all throughout. So it made it, not as many pages to read, which I thought was really interesting. But with this, we get to go from 936. I'm going to put this somewhere. We get to go from 936 to 935, and it was on my 2022 list, so it goes from 39 to 38. Awesome. And then I have a third book for you today, which is amazing. The third book was a group read with Gemma from Gemma Books, Fraser, Simon, Springboard Thought, and Sarah from Freshly Read Books, and we read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. And so this book was originally published in 1968 and follows a set of characters. The first thing is, this is the book that inspired Blade Runner. I am not a huge fan of the Blade Runner movie. I have tried to watch it several times, as recently as yesterday, and I just can't make it through that movie for some reason. So I was going into the book pretty blind, but it follows one of the main characters' name is Rick Deckard, and Rick is a bounty hunter searching for androids who have escaped Mars and come to Earth. And he's a complicated character who has obsessions about owning an animal, who lost a sheep because of, I believe, tetanus, and then right now has an electric sheep. He's out searching for these androids because he can get a bounty for all of them in order to get his dream of getting another animal. And so there's a very elaborate testing process to test these, to test people to see if they are an android. It is convoluted and crazy at times to try and figure out what's going on. Philip K. Dick did a wonderful job of making you think that anyone could be an android, and anyone who may have said they were an android isn't an android. And it's so very convoluted, and crazy in here to try and figure out who is who in this novel. I found the first like 3/4 of the book to be really great, even though I think Fraser had said like the writing style was a bit juvenile in places, or a bit lower reading level kind of. But I had a lot of fun reading all of those parts of the book and all of the intrigue and suspense that was built into it, and it felt like it was building up to this really big amazing ending, and then it just went like, really, the very end just didn't work for me. I was so incredibly disappointed by about the last 4 chapters of this book. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't how the book ended. It wasn't how I expected the book to end. And so from that perspective, I was fairly disappointed about the ending, because I was loving this up until that part. Even though there were some problems with it, it still was a very entertaining and fun read. But that last little bit just didn't work for me. And that's, it was disappointing because, but reading with this group, by the way, was phenomenal. So much fun to get to talk. We read it slowly. We read it 2 chapters a day. It took us almost 2 weeks to read it, which was a fun way to read this particular book. And in some cases, we would have a breaking point right at a suspenseful moment, and you had to wait till the next day to read. So for me, who reads fairly quickly, it was a wonderful experience, and very thankful that I got to be part of that reading group, and can't wait to read more, of course. But yeah, it was a lot of fun getting to read this with that group. So Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And this book will take us from 935 to 934. But it wasn't actually on my 2022 list. It got added late. So that number stays at 38. So how am I doing on my 2022 list? I have read 14 books off of the 2022 list as of this video, and it is the 16th week. So I am still 2 books kind of behind schedule, but I am making such huge progress on the overall list. So my overall list has actually 1,315 books on it, and I have read 330. So I've read a very large amount of books off of the list, but am I still slightly behind? Yes, but I'm okay about it right now. So I have a number of shorter books coming up where hopefully I can get those extra 2 books caught up, and we'll just kind of go from there. So what am I reading now? I actually unbelievably started Moby Dick by Herman Melville, and as you can see, there is a bookmark in it. This lovely version was actually given to me by Shelley Swearingen, and that bookmark is actually the card she gave me, so I think that's really funny. I am through chapter 33 of this book and am very surprised at how much I am enjoying this. I thought it was going to be a slog and difficult, and I wasn't going to make it through this book, and I'm doing this as a buddy read with Stephanie Cohen, who's one of my subscribers, and it has been going incredibly well. Who knew I would like this book so much? I did get to my first completely whale chapter and it was a long chapter, so I did get to that, kind of that first, why people will say, oh, there's a lot of like discussion about whales. I did get my first experience with that, but I'm enjoying meeting the characters. They have just went onto the ship with Captain Ahab, and so I'm getting ready. I'm hoping for this big grand adventure. I'm hoping. We'll see. But I have started Moby Dick. And then the other book that's on the 1001 book countdown is The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. Wish I could say I was successful on this one. I am supposed to be, I think, 200 pages or so through this book by this weekend. And I am on page 24. So this is the book I've been having some struggles picking up. I have not wanted to pick it up. It's not even that it's a bad book. I've actually enjoyed the first 20 or so pages more than I did Dr. Faustus, which I ended up DNFing. I just, with everything else I've been reading, I haven't had time to really pick this one up. So Thomas Mann, The Magic Mountain, is kind of fallen behind a little bit. I have, for non-1001 books, what else am I reading? I am reading The Death of Vivek Oji by Akweke Emeze. I'm reading this with Elle from Elle Thinks. And as you can see, there is a bookmark in here because I am about 56 pages in on this book so far, and we have a check-in tomorrow. I have about 50 or so pages left to read in this one for the check-in, but that one's going very, very well, and I'm really enjoying this one quite a bit, but it is very sad in places, but that is the one of the ones I'm reading. And then the other book that I'm ignoring, and I have a check-in on Saturday, is The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. I haven't opened it. Let's just say I'm not going to be able to meet the timeline for this book for my book club. I don't know why. I've read the first paragraph multiple times and just can't quite get pulled into it. It doesn't help that it's not required for the 1001 book list, so I don't have this big drive to finish it right now, but I am definitely behind on this one. So out of all the books on my TBR for April, I'm making a huge amount of progress. I just have, a couple big chunky books that I am thinking are just a lot right now. After finishing War and Peace and starting Moby Dick, it's hard to say I want to pick up another big massive chunker of a book. So that's kind of where my reading's at. I have a couple more books on my TBR that I will be coming up. Plus I have 3 more books to read for the BookTube Prize. I have finished 3, which is incredible, but I have 3 more to read. So I have a lot of reading coming my way, but I am loving all of the books I've been reading lately, and it's just been a really fun experience to get to go through and read these with different groups and it's just been a lot of fun. So anyway, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks. Bye.